Hey everyone! In this tutorial, I'll show you how to use the Datum Config Spark in Bonfire. In Bonfire, a datum config is like a variable, a container that holds a piece of information. Think of it as a little box where you can store a number. Common uses include displaying scores, life points, countdown timers, and more. Let's get started. In the Spark Browser tab, click on the Config folder. Here, you'll see the Datum Config Spark. Drag it over to the Configs panel and then click it to check out its traits. In the Traits panel, you'll find a couple of pieces of information. For now, we're just interested in changing its name and current value. I'll name this Spark my score for this tutorial. The number value you store in the datum is held in the current value field. So, how can we store values here? First, I'll set this back to 0. Then, let's go over to the Behaviors panel. With our MyScore datum selected, go to Effects and find the Add Value effect. Next, let's add a debug node to trigger nodes while testing. Lastly, we're going to set the Add Value node's value field to 1. This means that whenever we call this Add Value node, the value stored in our MyScore datum goes up by 1 point. To test it, click Play. Now, when I click the trigger button, notice how the current value of our datum increments. Perfect. So how do we display our MyScore datum's value in the player's UI? To do that, first open the UI Editor panel. In the Spark browser, go to the Symbols folder where you'll find the Datum Viewer symbol. This is how we'll display our stored values for the player to see. Drag and drop the Datum Viewer into the UI Editor and resize it a bit so it's visible. Perfect. Now, in the Configs panel, select our MyScore datum. In the Behavior panel, add the updated cause. Then, select our Datum Viewer symbol again, and in the Behavior panel, add an Update Effect node. What this means is that every time our MyScore datum's value changes, this updated node triggers. It then passes its current value over to our Datum Viewer update node, which updates our display. Let's test it and hit play. Now, when I click the trigger button, our Datum Viewer display updates. Perfect. Let's try a simple game scenario. I want to add a score to my display when I find the cat. To do that, make sure you have the Low Poly Animals assets downloaded. In the Spark browser, in the Low Poly Animals folder, drag and drop this cat Spark. With the cat Spark selected, add a collided cause to the Behavior panel. Then, select our MyScore datum, and in the Effects dropdown, add an Add Value effect. Oh, and lastly, we want to hide the cat when we've collided with it, so let's add a Modify effect to hide the cat. What happens in this behavior tree is that when our player collides with the cat, it adds 1 to our score, then hides the cat. Let's test this by hitting play. Now, when I move and collide with the cat, a score is added. Awesome! I hope you learned how easy it can be to store and edit values. There are a lot more things we can do with the Datum Config. We've only covered the basics. I'm excited to see what systems you'll come up with. See you in the next tutorial. Bye.